I realized in the course of preparing this video that I have posted at least one full-length video on YouTube every single week for 4 straight years now. Not a single week skipped. That's just kind of crazy because I tend to think I've only been a YouTuber for 2 years. So, nope. It's been a little bit longer. I'm gonna be taking the month of January off from posting on this channel. Just January. I will be back in February, same time, same place, and I'm also still going to be posting regularly scheduled videos on the second channel during that time. Before anyone gets worried, nothing is wrong, everything is fine, I'm not burnt out or anything. I'm just trying to build healthy habits now so that I don't get burnt out later. Also, quick side note before we actually get into it. I said that I wanted a chicken mug, and y'all sent me so many links. Thank you so much for that. I honestly can't remember if this was a link that somebody sent me or just another one that I found while going through all of those links, but oh my god, is it not freaking adorable? It is by Morgan Coble Ceramics. I'll link her Instagram in the description. Anyway, YouTube is an odd job to have because theoretically, in some crazy scenario, this entire site could cease to exist in a second, and my career here would be instantly over, and I have no control over that. Actually, I suppose a lot of jobs are like that nowadays. But on the off chance that YouTube is not randomly obliterated, I want to be thinking long-term here. Creating videos is the first job that I have wanted to do for more than a year. Also, it's the first job that I have done for more than a year. And therefore, I want to be building a really solid foundation for how I produce videos, how I schedule my days, how I balance work with life when my life is work in so many ways. Though 2024 was not my first year as a full-time YouTuber, it was my first full year as a full-time YouTuber making a living wage. A lot has happened this year. I've learned so much. I've done so many new things. I have pushed myself out of my comfort zone. And I have also felt behind schedule from about February to October. A year ago, I talked in a video about being 6 weeks ahead of schedule because I wasn't really doing background jobs anymore and projects were just rolling out at an insane rate. And then that flew out the window pretty dang fast, and I have spent the entirety of this year trying to get back to being so delightfully ahead before finally realizing that's just not gonna happen. Not consistently. And that's okay. I'm gonna make this little thing while we chat. I got it at a super cute toy store in England this past summer, and then I got home and promptly forgot about it. I don't think it's hard to put together though, so let's multitask. Wait, 3D greeting cards, no assembly required. Y'all, I don't think you have to do anything to this, it just folds open. Okay, yeah, that was not a thing. That didn't require assembly. Little things like this make me happy. Making one would be fascinating, but also like, skills, man, skills. It's just so well designed. Every single little bit has details on it. If you look into the inside, you can see all of the inside of their caravan. So freaking cute. I'm gonna do some needle lace. It's common to do everything I made this year videos, but I'm not really into that. Apologies if you are. You can just binge the last 48 videos to see. I'm more interested in looking back at my job, the channel YouTube. A lot has happened. I did collabs for the first time, got to know some other YouTubers, started a second channel. More on that later. I started mentoring this year. I consulted. That was awesome. You know who you want to hire as a consultant? An info dumper. I did a sewing competition and realized that I should not do sewing competitions. What is happening here? I also spent a month in England, took an embroidery course, went on a photo retreat, met some online friends in real life. I don't think I did that right. Oh well. Basically, it's been a year of stepping out of my comfort zone, especially in terms of human interaction, which might explain why I felt a little exhausted already in August when I started scripting this video. Yeah, 4 months left to the year, so much stuff that could possibly happen in those 4 months. and I already felt like a whole year had gone by. The social stuff is a factor for sure, but it is more than that. You may be sick of hearing me talk about my schedule. I feel like in those middle months, not a video went by that I did not mention my schedule. Well, let's talk about it once more in greater detail, and then for reasons that we will talk about, it hopefully won't come up much anymore. Things can change very quickly for a YouTuber, for a content creator. Not necessarily in the ways that you might think of, like going massively viral and overnight you're suddenly a millionaire and everyone's beating down your door to work with you and interview you and hire you. That's not what I mean. That's not happening much. What's up, bud? Has someone walked by the house, and how dare they? But while they may not look like massive changes from the outside, they can be pretty jarring to your everyday life from the inside, whether in a positive or negative way. This is what happened to me, not this year, not 2024, but the year before. I dealt with virality on Instagram for the first time, and then my channel grew quite quickly. I didn't become a millionaire overnight, but I did go from making not enough money to pay even a single bill to making what I would call a decent, livable wage in the course of 1 month. That's a pretty big change. I went from never getting a single sponsorship request to getting a fairly steady stream of them. Suddenly, I had to reply to all these emails, make a media kit, negotiate contracts, figure out how to charge properly, research brand controversies. And I went from a small spattering of comments on my videos, I used to get an email every single time somebody commented, y'all, to getting a couple hundred, if not more, on every video, which I so appreciate. Thank you all for sharing your stories and your thoughts, for engaging in this community. It brings me a lot of joy. None of that looked like much from the outside. To use a term that people love to use about YouTube, I didn't blow up, but it was a lot of changes to my day-to-day life, to my job and my production schedule. And by the end of that year, the end of 2023, I had pretty much figured it out. I was solid. I had accepted that I cannot spend an entire day every week replying to comments. I did that for a while. It was neither healthy nor sustainable. I had learned how to not be taken advantage of by brands who knew that I knew nothing, and how to say no to brands that I wasn't interested in working with or had major issues with. Still continuing to learn that to this day. It is an ongoing process. And I had balanced my production schedule. I had actually overbalanced my production schedule. I was overproducing. I typically create my content a month before it comes out. I work on a pre-filmed schedule, and it is amazing. It keeps me sane. It allows me to take as long as I want to or need to on projects. It gives me the option to have vacation time and sick time. It's great. By the end of 2023, I was running 6 weeks ahead of schedule. While it made me feel productive and safe and all sorts of wahoo, it really wasn't what I wanted. It felt like there was too much distance between making a project, finishing a project, and sharing the project. A month is really the sweet spot for me. And this is when I first started considering a second channel, because clearly I had enough time in my production schedule to be making more videos, and I was really excited to explore writing and storytelling more. This 6-week bumper immediately came in handy because last year Matt actually got 2 weeks of Christmas vacation. So we were able to travel, and I was able to take time off of work and spend time with my partner and still be that very nice month ahead when we returned. So we rolled into 2024 with me assuming that this was the schedule. I would continue to be ahead. I actually planned to do some longer projects right away in January and February because I knew now that I had time to do those longer projects and still be consistent with my content. One of those longer projects was renovating my studio. And that is where the snowball of disruption began. If you're a consistent viewer, you may recall, because I mentioned it several times, that the renovation of my studio, one single video, ended up taking me 6 weeks. The month ahead bumper time saved me, as it was designed to do, and I never had a down week. I continued to post a new video every single Friday. But in saving me, it had to be sacrificed. So by the time that mess finally became the cuteness that is my studio, I had no bumper time left. I was working week to week, desperately trying to claw back that safety net. And bit by bit, I did that. And every week, I might save a day or two, depending on what the project was. And those days add up until eventually you're back to being a month ahead. It happened. It did. It happened just in time for me to leave the country for a month. Worth it. But yeah, I really wasn't helping myself out there. Once again, I didn't officially take a week off of posting, although I did use the announcement of my second channel as a sneaky little cheater week. Why did I go ahead and start a second channel if I was running so far behind, you may be asking? Fair question. 'Cause I really wanted to. It just comes down to that. I'd been thinking about it for ages, I'd been planning it out, writing stories, and I really wanted to start sharing them. No regrets. That's been a blast. So I managed to get through the month abroad with no breaks, but I came home with, once again, absolutely zero bumper. No videos scheduled, editing stuff that was going up in a couple days. Oof. I know there are so many YouTubers who operate this way and have for years, but y'all, it stresses me out, and not in a good way. The final straw that broke the camel's back, only less dramatically. What's a less dramatic version of that metaphor? The last kick in the hiney that my schedule got was the photo retreat that I booked at the end of August, which I turned into a trip into Canada to meet the lovely Sherman Makes in person, because when I see it's a 6-hour drive away, I'm like, I'm practically next door. Of course I've gotta pop in. I had not clawed back my month ahead schedule by the time I left for that. I hadn't really had time to, but I also found myself surprisingly unconcerned about it. I had worked really hard to not take a week off of posting during the England trip. I adjusted the projects I was doing, the videos I was making. I got clever with it, hence the announcement video stuck in the middle there. I stopped doing any not work. I stopped reading or doing embroidery for fun, or basically taking any downtime in my days, much less my weeks. And in August, I didn't want to do that. I had some projects I really wanted to do right then, and I just did them. I did them fully realizing that they might take too long, and I might not be ahead enough, and I might, for the first time in the consistent life of this channel, have to take a week off of posting. For the first time, I was like, meh. It'll be okay. That being said, I still worked like 12+ hours every single day until the morning I left. Hi, my name is Charlie and I'm a workaholic. But we can talk about that at another time. Yeah, if you're wondering why it's been so incredibly important for me to post a video every single Friday for the last 4 years, it's just me, y'all. It's just how my personality works. So all of that is why for the first 8 months of this year, or maybe just months 2 through 8, I probably kept mentioning my schedule all the time, being behind, trying to get back on track. You know, in retrospect, maybe I didn't mention it that much. Maybe I just talked about it in my head all the time. Maybe I cut all of that stuff out in editing. I don't remember. But it's been a bit of a stressful year. A super exciting year with so many cool opportunities and so very, very much stepping out of my comfort zone, and all of that has been amazing. And if the only thing that suffered for it was my schedule, then it was completely worth it. This is what I mean when I say things can change quickly though. My production schedule and posting schedule and life schedule shifted so quickly that I wasn't prepared. I hadn't set a plan in place. I hadn't prepared for a disruption of that size. So I spent the bulk of the year desperately trying to return to this cozy, comfy, tidy, neat, month ahead schedule instead of adapting to the new reality. And I did want to return to that because I feel like it's great for my mental health and for the longevity of this channel and for the continuation of this career. This is a job. Being a YouTuber is my job, and it's important that I treat it as such in all ways. Now I know better how to prepare for exceptionally long projects, for chunks of travel, for disruptions to that schedule. I'm back to being a month ahead, and once again, 'tis lovely. But I've only achieved that by putting off a quickly growing list of projects that will potentially or definitely take longer than usual. And I want to dive into that list. I want to roll around in it and explore all the things. I have videos, projects that I meant to do in February of 2024. Not just like they're on my overall list of ideas. I started prepping for them, gathering supplies, doing research, writing the scripts, and I still haven't done them. So to get back to the time off thing, I'm actually not taking this break because I am currently behind schedule or stressed or anything like that. I was feeling stressed and behind schedule earlier this year, basically February through August, and it was a stress that I feel like this is a hard concept to explain, but a really easy one to understand. Like, everyone has probably experienced this. You know, there's good stress, and then there's bad stress, and then there's bad stress that you pretend is good stress. So I'll be super stressed because I'm incredibly busy, because I have set high expectations of productivity for myself. But then I like feeling productive, so I like feeling busy, so I like feeling stressed, right? At least that's what my brain tries to tell me. It's kind of a mental masochist thing. But towards the end of the summer, when the main craziness had died down, I was finally like, F this to the bad stress masquerading as good stress. And then I kind of just got back on schedule without really trying to. I wasn't consciously rushing or doing easier projects or faster videos, but I do think I was doing it subconsciously. So I'm super excited to potentially not have that subconscious thing going on. That reminder I can't help having as the owner of this channel, this business, this production company of one, that I have deadlines coming up, I have schedules to meet, I've got to get stuff done. I can't wait to do some of the projects that I've been putting off for almost a year. And I think a month off is really gonna give me that time to relax into my work. Like, this is not a month off so that I can relax, generally speaking, or not work. I do not need a month off of work. I don't know what I would do with myself. But it's a month to be slower in my work, to take my time, to do bigger projects, to not feel rushed through stuff. And when it ends, I'll re-examine my output here in general. Maybe some things need to change, maybe they don't. I don't really know right now. I might adjust my posting schedule, but I genuinely don't know if that will feel necessary or helpful. Whether that's posting less here, but more on the second channel, dropping to half production or half posting during the summer when there's a lot of other stuff going on, or potentially just continuing to take January off every single year so that I can have a bit of catch up and do longer projects time. I don't know, we'll see how it goes. We'll talk about it afterward. You know I'll keep you updated because I always do. But let's chat about the upcoming year. I've looked back on 2024, so what is happening in 2025? Are you so cute? That's a big yawn. I want to prioritize traveling each year somewhere outside this country. It's been really incredible the last 2 years to get back to traveling solo and experiencing all the complexities that come with that. I mean, I'd love to travel with Matt, but unfortunately, his schedule does not really allow for that kind of planning ahead. So luckily, I really do enjoy being on my own. It's a different style of traveling, but it's a good one. Besides traveling for the experience of it though, I'd also love to try another class-based travel, I guess. So a couple people commented on my experience with the RSN class this year that they would love to see me try some other kind of adult learning experience for arts or crafts or something like that and give my thoughts on it. And I was like, get out of my head. How did you know? I actually heard about another school in England while I was in England that does an insane amount of classes and workshops during the summer for adults to do arts and crafts and stuff like that. And then I've also had, I think, 2 schools in America recommended to me that do that same kind of thing. And yeah, I would love to do that. Don't know for sure if it'll happen, but it is on the list in big print. I have been dying to get back to gardening ever since we left our first apartment here in LA, where we had this gorgeous balcony garden just packed with plants, absolutely thriving. I loved it so much, and it's really the main reason I was sad to leave that apartment. But gardening is one of those things that I really like and I really want to get into, but I don't necessarily want to devote a massive chunk of my time to, if that makes sense. I feel like there's just so much researching and experimenting and time-consuming stuff that goes into becoming knowledgeable in this area, and I kept wondering when I would have time to devote to that, and I finally accepted that I don't and I won't. This is an area where it's going to be better to partner with somebody who is already knowledgeable so that the entire load of learning is not on me, which is what I'm planning to do. I found a landscaping company that specializes in creating edible gardens, kitchen gardens. They're super knowledgeable in plants that are for food, and I am planning to turn our entire front yard into a garden. And that would be super fun to make a video on, but it's our front yard and privacy and safety and all that stuff. So I will not be making a video on the process itself, but I'm sure I will talk about it frequently in videos and give you progress updates and show you what's happening with some nice, safe, close-up shots. But it is really nice to have something that I'll be doing that is separate from work, because so much of my life can just become my job because I can make a video about anything. So it's really actually kind of nice, it's actually nice to have something I'll be doing this coming year that is very specifically not part of YouTube. Cannot be part of YouTube. I cannot make a video about it, and that's actually really good. Another thing that's been on my list, I think for like 3 years now, is getting good at bread. I've been baking for ages. I love to bake, although I do go through sort of highs and lows of interest, which is totally fine, but I've never been good at bread. I've had a few moderate successes, a lot of fails. I think it mostly comes down to me never kneading it enough because my arms are weak as crap and start screaming at me after 10 seconds. But I so want to master bread, or at least be decent at making bread, and I had this whole massive plan for it because, of course, with me, everything turns into a massive plan. A plan that I'm pretty sure I was gonna make a video about and possibly even filmed an intro for. There's a pin in the carpet. I should pick that up. I was going to make this huge list of every kind of bread that I could think of, breads from all over the world, and then make one kind of bread every single week for years. It would take years to get through the list. Especially because the caveat was that if I made a bread and it turned out poorly, I didn't get to mark it off the list. I had to keep retrying that kind until I had a decently successful version of it. So obviously, that's kind of a long-term and pretty overwhelming thing to commit to, especially when I can't seem to plan beyond 3 months of my life, because who knows what's happening in 3 months. So I would really like to actually start doing this, making one bread a week, or maybe every 2 weeks because there are only 2 of us to eat it, until I feel like I've gotten good at bread. But I'll be doing it without the requirement of making a video about it. But I do tend to do better at committing to a long-term project like this, or committing to learn something new, if I create a habit or a schedule out of it, which is why I think doing 1 bread every week or 2 breads every month is a good way to go. Which brings me to a new habit that I'm hoping to form. As I try to balance work and life better, and keep my schedule a little less crazy in preparation for this to be a long-term career, I'd like to start taking 1 day a week off. It won't be fully off. I can't take full days off. I don't know what I would do with myself. But the goal is to have 1 day a week where I don't edit and I preferably don't film. It would be a day to make bread, a day to focus on writing, which is why I can't really call it a full day off because writing is usually part of my job. A day to embroider, or to read, or to spend time with Matt, go out and do something. A day that is not entirely or mostly about my job, even if it is still a little bit about my job. And finally, one thing that I really want to do in this new year is try some new things and try some old things again. I want to take some classes, because what is the point of being an adult with resources if you're not still trying to learn? I've been trying to learn Portuguese for years now and it just has not been working, but I learned Italian pretty fast in an actual class setting, so I think I just need to get in a class for that. I'd love to take a ballet class again. I have not experienced ballet in years, but that was the thing I did for my entire childhood. I'd like to revisit pole dancing. I used to pole dance, and it is incredible exercise, great for building muscles, especially in the old weak arms. I'd like to take some more pottery classes, maybe an actual extended class segment instead of just a one-off. I'd like to try workshops and totally new crafts and skills because, oh my goodness, there are just so many incredible things out there to learn. Overall, it feels like 2024 was a year of stepping out of my comfort zone, and I'd like 2025 to be a year of learning and trying, while also establishing healthy boundaries between my work and my life, my time and my career. And I'm starting all of that with some time off of posting videos because that will allow me to try some things that I've been putting off for ages, to focus on making and learning for a bit without the pressure of quickly approaching deadlines. I cannot wait to come back to you in February and show you everything I've done. And speaking of sharing, I'd love to know what your plans are for 2025, if you have something big that's coming up and you're excited for, or maybe just some small changes you're hoping to make. I've never really been a New Year's resolution kind of person, but I do think that the changing of the year is just a really handy time to be like, here's my new plans. I'm gonna set out to try something. And before we go, I do want to address one more thing. Doing this job of creating content can feel really silly, for lack of a better word, or maybe that's the perfect word, when there is terrible stuff going on in the world, which to be clear is always, but especially when that terrible stuff is happening way closer to home. I'd urge you not to assume that those of us who don't directly discuss the issues that are going on around us in our videos are not just as bothered and stressed out by them and anxious as you are, or that we aren't doing what we can to support our values outside of our jobs with our actual lives. Trust me when I say that the vast majority of us are exceptionally aware of the silliness of our jobs compared to the seriousness of lives and livelihoods and human rights being placed in danger. It's easy to feel like this is not the time or the place, but I also think, and know because many people have already told me, that providing some amount of comfort and distraction through art and entertainment can really help support people's mental and emotional states during difficult times. The way I see it, some people save lives and some people make ice cream. And the reality is that no, those two jobs are not equally important. But it would also be really sad if no one made ice cream. So I've accepted that my job for now is to make ice cream, metaphorically. And I'm gonna keep doing it. After a short break. Big, giant, massive, warm hugs to all of you. I will see you in February. Chicken mug. But let's chat about the upcoming year. Sneezies! That was correct, but thank you for stopping anyway. And, ooh, my tum-tum. I also spent a month in England. Wait, what? You missed me yelling, damn it.